Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday. I'm Tracy.
I'm Crystal.
I'm Tanya.
I'm Keisha.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Reverend Sheila.
And welcome to
Sista
Chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, coming in. Come on in, come on, come on, come on, come on. And let everybody know that we are live, live, live. And before we get started, I just wanted to ask everybody, how was your week? How was your week? How was your week? Ashley, how was your week, Ashley?
Oh, it was good. It was a good short week. We were off on Thursday and Friday. Couldn't have been better. And then we're
Okay.
coming off on Monday, which is great. Great week.
Okay. And what about you, Tanya? How was your week?
I had a great week. I was on vacation, enjoying myself in Punta Cana. It was a birthday gift. I had a ball.
Yes.
Woo, 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 woo. All right. Okay. And you, Keisha, how was your week?
It was blessed. It was really great. Great work week, great work-life balance. So it was good.
No, wow.
That's great. That's great. And
Yeah.
you, Crystal, how was your week?
Oh, I had a marvelous week. It was one of the best weeks I've ever had. I was able to put my phone down and lift God up. So
Okay.
to
All
take
right.
some time with God.
I know that's right.
Wow.
That's right. Yes.
Yes. How about you, Tracy?
My week was great. My week was very great. And I just thank God for being in the land of the living one more time. One more
One
time.
more time.
Yes.
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 And to our very own guest, our first guest, y'all,
Yes.
Miss Reverend Holmes. How was your week? How was your week?
Yes.
Oh wow! I feel like the odd little duckling. To say it was great and fantastic. I had some hiccups, some challenges, but you know what? The important thing is we push our way through.
Yes.
Amen. 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 And so before we get started, I just want to ask everybody to like and share your page, to like and share
Yes.
your
Want
page
that now.
with everyone. And so today we are actually talking about dealing with grief.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so before we get started, I wanted to read Reverend Holmes' biography.
Amen.
So Reverend Sheila Holmes is a licensed ordained gospel minister who gives all praise to God and acknowledges she would never have made it without the fragrance of his love. Reverend Holmes was born in Baltimore, Maryland. She has worked in healthcare for 20 years as a healthcare advocate, including as a lead bereavement coordinator in hospice. There, she facilitated grief support groups, bereavement grief camps, and memorial services and provided workshops and information sessions in the community, all with the purpose of walking with others through their experiences of loss and healing. Her passion for empowering wounded souls under the ministry's Seeds of Hope, founded in 2021, is to teach, encourage, and counsel others to step out on faith and believe.
Yes.
Believe that when you cry out to the Lord, He will answer and take you by the hand. Believe He will guide you and strengthen you. Most of all, He will reveal the truth about who we are, His beloved child. Reverend Holmes is associate pastor at Liberty Empowerment Baptist Church in Colonial Beach, Virginia, under the leadership of Reverend Sherman C. Hayes, pastor. She teaches Bible study, preaches the word of God, and oversees the church's community wellness We Care program. She is finishing her master's degree in mental health counseling at Messiah University and is currently completing her final internship with Roberta's House, a family grief center where she provides behavior health services to children and adults. And so we just thank you for saying
Yes.
yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And so before you get started, is it anything that you want to share with us before we get started?
Me?
Yes, you.
Um, just to let everyone know that I'm so happy that we could come and sit in this platform. I'm so grateful for the invitation to be a part of the Sister Chat. I think this is awesome. Women coming together to help women, to encourage women, not to tear down, talk about, but to lift up. And also for everyone listening, I am not coming today as a therapist. I am coming today as an educator. I am coming today as an advocate. I am coming today to also uplift and hopefully plant some seeds of hope, because grief is an unwanted guest. It is an unwanted guest, and sometimes it can stick around too long.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Yes. I like how you put that. Grief is an unwanted guest. And
Yes.
so, in 2022, I lost my great nephew. And 2023, I lost my nephew. And then a month after that, I lost one of my favorite cousins. And so I look at it as I started to heal, but then I felt like, Dad, God, I'm wounded all over again. And so, you know, when people get to that place when they feel like, okay, I just started healing,
Yeah.
and then to be impacted again with death on top of death, how should we handle it? And how do we not blame God?
Well, first of all, every loss is different.
Yeah.
And every loss is different because every relationship was different. There are some people we were so attached to, so bonded with, that that pain is shattering. And there are some people we're actually relieved because we know the suffering they went through.
Yeah.
And in that case, we're saying, oh, the Lord welcomed them. So, how do you balance all those emotions that get tangled up inside?
Mhm.
And I hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm so mad at God. My faith is shaken.
Yeah.
Let it shake.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Don't condemn yourself. You know, I am not the first person to get upset with God. You are not the first person to be upset with God. The thing is, don't deny what you feel. Feel what you feel.
Okay.
There are only two things I caution anyone with grief.
Mhm.
Two things. Write it down.
Okay.
Do not harm yourself. Do
Right.
not harm anyone else.
That's
Hmm.
great.
If
Wow.
you
Wow.
feel
Huh.
like you want to harm yourself or
Right.
harm someone else, you need to seek professional help.
Yes.
Okay.
You need to hang up from this chat right now
Mhm.
and go get professional help.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Other
That
than
was
that, feel what you feel.
Yes.
that was something that I actually wanted to, I actually wrote down to ask you, because I said I know that some people, should people get a pass for snapping and going off and acting out when they lose a loved one?
Yeah.
Well, snapping, going off at any time, that's a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of aggression. The people who love us, the people who care about us, they may give us that grace. But if we take that same anger to the street, we
Mm-hmm.
might not get that same
Yeah.
grace.
Yeah.
Right.
So the best thing is try your best to use your words, like we tell the little ones when they're upset, when they're crying so much they can barely speak and they can hardly breathe, and we say, baby, use your
Yes.
words. Try to use your words,
Hmm.
to let people know I'm not in a good space. I need some time. Give me an hour, give me 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me, and respect what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You have any questions, Crystal?
Yes, I read where it's seven stages to grief. Is that true? I've never really paid attention to that, but I was reading something and it was showing the seven stages of when you're going through grief.
Right. Elizabeth Ross, she came up with the stages of grief,
Mhm.
but they were never intended for when someone after death.
Okay.
They were intended for anticipatory grief.
Mm.
When someone receives that shocking news from the doctor, those test results, you're going to go through the denial, the shock, the anger. You're going to go through those stages. But
Mhm.
what most professionals will guide someone through now is called the task of grief.
Okay.
Okay.
And there are four tasks.
Mhm.
Wow.
And the task of grief actually spells the word tear.
Wow.
Wow.
Tear.
Wow.
Mm.
And the segment was called Tears and Tissues. So
Wow.
let me see if I can grab this behind me so you can see it more clear. This is a huge bowl,
Wow.
quite heavy, and it's filled with lots of colorful stones that represent tears.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
sometimes, in the midst of all of our tears, there is no light, there's just darkness.
Yeah.
But I put
Hmm.
a light in here to represent hope.
Hmm.
Oh wow.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
So, as we go through the task of grief,
Mhm.
the first letter is T, and it's to accept the reality of loss. To
Hmm.
accept the reality of loss. And some people will instantly say, I'm not accepting nothing. And
Yeah.
that is okay. So change the word from accept to acknowledge. Acknowledge the reality of loss
Yeah.
Okay.
because we can't even begin to heal if we don't acknowledge the reality of what happened.
Right.
And it may
Wow.
take you days, weeks, months. It's okay to move at your pace.
Mhm.
The second letter is E, to experience the pain of loss. What does that mean? That means you're going to be flooded with emotions.
Right.
You're going to be flooded. Some people are going to have anxiety, depression. Some people are going to feel hopelessness. Some people are going to feel loss. There's such a range array. Some people are going to sleep too much, not sleep. Some people are going to eat too much. Some people can't eat. You're going to gain weight, lose weight. Some people are going to have headaches. Um, some people may feel like they just want to give up.
Yeah.
The A in tier is how do we adjust to the new environment without that special person? It affected our finances,
Yeah.
our
Mhm.
security. I mean, how someone passed away, how someone left. Was it homicide? Was it suicide? Was it um, the child died in childbirth? Was it someone in their 90s? Was it someone stricken with cancer? How someone passes away really affects our grief. And the last letter is R.
Mhm.
We have to reinvest in this new reality. So how are you going to push your way through? How I like to say it like this. When someone we care so much transitions, they die. How does that legacy live on? How do they still live on in us that we can carry them? Some people start scholarships. Some people um, join the cause and the organizations of why they passed away. How can we take that anger, that hurt, that pain, and turn it into something good?
Wow, that was a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, she
You
was.
know, I didn't realize. I'm trying not to cry. I
That's
did
the
not.
It's
tissue
okay.
part.
That's the tissue, tears and tissue.
You
Let
know
those
what?
tears flow. Tears are
Yes,
Yes,
for
it's
healing. Every
okay.
tear
yes,
you shed is for healing.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. You know, I actually I thought about something, or two things I thought about. I thought about when my nephew died. I was mad with God, and only for a quick second. And you know, I told my husband, I'm gonna be mad with anybody but God. And the way that I believe God allows me to deal with death is
Hmm.
to remember the amount of years that He allowed this person to be in my life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so I just thanked him because we were really close. And you're absolutely right. Every relationship is different. Every relationship is not the same. And so, you know, I I remember I just cried in front of his children, in front of my grandchildren, you know, and I was just like, you know, just letting them see and know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to go through, but we're not going to stay here. We
Yeah.
got to keep
Yeah,
it moving.
yeah,
And so when you were talking and when you were talking about, you know, how a person died, it hit me that death hits people differently because of the nature of their death.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I remember when my girlfriend's son passed away, he was murdered. And you know, she kept saying, God gonna God is going to raise him up. When I go to the grave, I mean, when I go to the funeral home, I know God is going to raise him up. And I
Mm.
felt so much pain for her because, you know, I know how much she was, I know how close she was to her son, I know how much she loved him. And by her being my best friend, it was like I can feel her pain, if that makes sense. And so, you know, when people talk that way, for me, I knew to be quiet and pray. And so when those situations happen, how should we handle situations like that when we know people are really when they haven't really accepted death?
Yes.
Wow, that's a powerful story.
Yeah.
And I think it probably touched a lot of people's lives.
Mhm.
Just hearing that, um, makes you just want to take a moment and just breathe in.
Yes.
But when people are in so much pain, you did what any of us would do.
Yeah.
You gave a listening ear.
Yeah.
You gave an open heart. You didn't come with judgment. You didn't come trying to correct. You didn't come, you validated her with your presence.
Okay.
At some point, maybe what she said is what really happened because God did receive him, God did raise him up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She wanted it one way, perhaps, but
Yeah.
God will show her it was another way.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. The best
Okay.
thing we can do is sit with someone and
Yeah,
listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
We say all the time, "What do you need? If you need me, I'm here."
Mhm.
Right.
Mm-mm. No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. There's no "if you need me, I'm here." There is,
That's
Right.
"Are you going to be home between
Yeah.
12 and 3? Because I'm going to
That's
drop
right.
over.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to drop
Okay.
over. I'm going to
Mhm.
come over.
Yeah.
That's good.
Right.
That's
I'm going
good.
to
That's good,
stop.
Miss Sheila.
I'm going to pick up some lunch, some dinner. I know you got a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of stuff in the house. What you want me to bring? Because I'm coming."
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
No.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
People
Wow.
are
Yeah.
numb. They're numb.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Stop
Yes.
asking me, am I okay?
Hmm.
They're
Right.
numb.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. So
I
yes.
recently spoke with someone, and when I said, how are you doing? I saw the look on their face, and I said, ooh, too
Yeah.
many people are asking you that.
Yeah.
So then I started asking this individual, so what's making you sparkle today?
that's good.
So we
That's
can use
good.
different language to say
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow. 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 Ashley, you have any questions for Reverend Holmes?
Yeah. It's funny. So my sister actually just lost her husband in February of this year.
Oh,
And they were just married 4 years. They just had an anniversary a month before he died. But they have a 4-year-old daughter. And so my thing, and I want to be able to help her as much as I can too. So how do I help her to help in this process with such a small young child? Like, she feels cheated,
mhm.
and we tried our best to tell her, daddy's in the sky, he's looking, anytime you look up, talk. But she's reached out, she's like, oh, daddy, where's daddy? And you have to keep explaining that. And like,
Right,
what do you
right,
do with that? And she's like, I'm a single parent, I didn't
right.
plan this. And she every day she's reminded us that he's not here. She's calling out for her dad. And like, it's just so, how do what do I tell her? How do I help her in that sense? How do you deal with that?
Okay, that is a great question. And you have to communicate with the child on their level.
Mhm,
So, one of the first things I would do, you've already done, you've told her the truth,
Yes.
the best way she could understand it in
mhm,
her language.
mhm, mhm.
And you told her what she needed to know,
Mhm.
not all the gory details.
Right, right,
So, I would say we're going to go shopping. We're going to go shopping to get something special for daddy.
okay,
And we're gonna go
okay.
to either Ross, Michael's, Burlington. I'm not
Mm.
advertising for them, but and they have this whole section with these beautiful boxes.
Mm.
And we're gonna get one of those boxes and we're gonna make it a memory box.
Oh,
We're gonna make it I miss you daddy box. We're gonna make it
mm.
I'm thinking of you today. Name the box.
Okay,
Whatever you want to name it.
okay.
So when she misses her, she's gonna write a little note. She's gonna put it in the box.
Mm,
When she goes somewhere special, maybe she's got a ticket stub or
mm.
maybe she colored a picture. She's gonna put it in the box.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
Wow.
daddy's going to grow with her. She's
okay.
going to
Oh, that's
remember
good.
him by sharing her
That's good. That's good.
experiences. If you have a recording of his voice, a couple words, go to
Yeah.
Build the Bear. We're going to go to Build the Bear. They can put the recording in the bear. Um,
Okay.
Wow.
we're
Yes.
going to draw pictures of,
Yeah.
I don't know the child's faith, but
Christian.
um,
Yeah.
okay, Christianity.
Mhm,
Then we're going to draw pictures. What does heaven look like? What do you
mhm.
think daddy's doing in heaven?
Oh
You
wow.
know, what's his new job? Do you think he's watching puppies today? Or is
That's
he a
Wow.
good.
security
That's so
guard?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wow. That's so
that's
good.
Wow.
great. That's great.
Wow.
and it will also help the parent.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think so.
It will help
Yes.
the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You. Yes.
Roberta's house is located in Prince George's County,
Curtis.
in
Okay.
Atlanta, Maryland, and they are a grief center. They work with young children, families, individuals. They have groups. They do groups online, groups in person. Reach
Wow.
out.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know what? I wish I would have had. I didn't even realize God was opening so many doors with me this morning. But I wish I would have had that information
Mm.
34 years ago because my son's
Wow.
father died when he was 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Right.
And I think it
Mm.
took me years. I think he probably was a teenager
Wow.
before I really explained to him. Well, let me back up. Because I was married at the time to someone else, he I always kept him involved with his family, with his father's family. And when he would go over to his aunt's house, he would come back because his cousins talked to him, and he used to always say, they keep telling me my father is dead. And so I had to tell him the truth
Mm. Mm.
about where his biological father was.
Mm.
Right.
And
Mm.
so I think I know at the time he was a teenager when we really started having conversations about his biological father. And I used to always wonder, and I was scared to ask, but then I asked, how do you feel knowing that your biological father is not here? And I always felt like I did. I felt like I was cheated too. I felt like my son was cheated. I blame myself. I don't know why, because he was murdered, but I always blame myself. And I remember I went to this. I had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor kept saying things to make me laugh. And he was like, why are you so down? Why are you so depressed? And when I told him, about my son's father, he said it's not your fault. And it took that doctor to let me know. And that's when the healing process started. And
Right.
so why do we blame ourselves? Why do we get in the place of believing that we got the short end of the stick? Is it an emotional thing?
Yeah, it's just part of grief. It's part of one of those tangled emotions.
Yeah.
Blame, shame. Uh, we just beat ourselves up. But I mean, what's the evidence? That's what we have to start asking ourselves.
Yeah.
What is the evidence
Hmm.
that can prove I'm the one to blame? Is there evidence?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is there evidence? Or are we being led by our emotions? Have our emotions overridden our cognitive ability to think clearly? And
Hmm.
during such
Wow.
high stress, during such high trauma, we're in a fog.
Yeah.
We're in a fog. We're in a daze.
Right.
You know, that's
Right.
that's the period where we wish we had stock in Kleenex, right? That's all we
Right.
That's
Wow.
it. We need stock
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Kleenex. We can't even
Yeah.
control our tears.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
what
have a
about you,
question.
Keisha?
Thank you. Um, so Tracy kind of asked my question because I was wondering, and I don't know if you remember this since we worked in hospice together, but um 6 years ago, um, it was my grandmother's birthday. Now, mind you, this my grandmother's been dead since I was 11, but it was her birthday. I went to Facebook, go to social media. Somebody had her picture posted. When I saw her face, that thing sent me into a whirlwind of emotions. And when I say a whirlwind of emotions, I just was full of tears. Like I couldn't I couldn't stop crying. I went in the bathroom and I was like, "What is wrong with you?" At that time, I think I was in maybe my 40s, and I just don't know what happened that day. And part of me feel like I was robbed. I didn't get an opportunity to grow with her, because she died when I was such a young age. And I used to sometimes envy people when I see they had a grandmother, they had a great grandmother, how blessed they is. I tell my husband all the time, you still got your grandmother. She 92 walking this earth. This woman died when I was 11. I didn't feel like I got any of grandma's wisdom. I didn't feel like I got any of those grandma's conversations. I didn't get to sit at her feet. I didn't get to go cry to her. I just felt robbed. And I understand that God, when he calls his people out of the earth, is for his good. Their time is up. They've lived out their purpose on whatever they were supposed to do in life. But why do I have that feeling of always of feeling robbed? It's crazy.
You know, um, uh, Keisha and all the ladies, let me say I'm deeply moved, and my love just goes out to each of you and to everyone in the audience for the losses that everyone has endured. But absolutely, um, Keisha, I'm so glad you had the courage to share your story. But yes, we feel robbed because that's what death does. That's what grief does, a lot of the times. I'm not saying all the time. And we know that we're not here. This is not our permanent home,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it's such a traumatic feeling and loss that it reminds me, Keisha, um, that we all have a struggle word when it
Mhm.
comes to our loss,
Yeah.
a struggle word. So, and I think all of you ladies have mentioned what your struggle word was, that struggle emotion.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But what is your power word? What is your power word
Hmm.
that you always go to? Not just in death, not just in loss. Maybe you're just having a very frustrated day. Maybe you're um, can't meet a deadline. Maybe your finances are just so jacked up. What is your power word? Um, I have a power word. I don't know if you can see it.
You know what's so funny?
My
Believe.
power word is believe.
Believe.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I have
Wow.
believe all over my house.
Wow.
Different signs. I have a believe book. I have posters. I have this word all over to remind me because my struggle word when my mom died when I was in my 20s was abandonment.
Wow.
I felt like she had the nerve to abandon me.
Yeah.
It did not even register in my mind that she didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So it was years before I settled down
Mhm.
because we
Wow.
can carry these heavy feelings for years. It's like a shadow that
Mhm.
Yeah.
follows us around, whispering
Mhm.
all the time. And then we're going to have triggers, holidays, anniversaries, birthdays, seeing
Mhm.
that picture,
Yeah.
excuse me, hearing that song,
Mhm.
walking past someone who smells like them, that
Mhm.
Mhm.
perfume, the scent of that favorite flower, we're going to have those triggers.
Yeah.
So you know your struggle word. What's your power word?
Wow.
Wow. That's my power word. What's my power word, Crystal?
Believe.
It's believe.
I
Believe.
believe.
I believe.
That's why when she said it, I was getting ready to say, "Oh boy," I'm like, "That's nobody but God," because that's all Tracy saying. I believe.
I
I
believe.
believe
I believe.
all the time.
You
She
let
gonna
me
be
tell you.
fussing with us, but she gonna make sure she say, "I believe."
Yes, 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 yes.
I
That's
mean, you
it.
have to have that power word because I don't care who you are, how strong you are.
Yeah.
Every one of us is going to go visit the rabbit hole.
Yes.
Wow.
We don't
Hey.
want to stay there. We
Yes.
don't want to live there, but we're going to go visit that rabbit hole.
Wow.
It's dark,
Right.
it's lonely, it's cold, it's isolated. What is that power word that's going to get you out of that rabbit hole?
Wow. Wow. Ladies, if y'all don't have a power word, you need to get one.
Yes,
You need
Lord.
to get a power word. Yes.
I need to.
And I believe
I
that
need
this
to.
was ordained by God because Reverend Holmes, we have the same power word.
Yes.
I'm going to have to get one of these tissues now.
Yes. Tanya, you have any questions for Reverend Holmes?
I do. In my case, when I lost my husband, a question that I kept asking myself was, "Am I normal?" And the reason that I asked that is because I was so devastated when he passed. However, it was not a great a great marriage. It was dealt with a lot of domestic violence, but then when he passed, I was so devastated. And I know, to me, I felt like, some of my friends were like, "Why are you so upset?" Because now you don't have to deal with that. But it was hard to get some people to understand I still loved him. He was my husband. And it was almost as if I felt people felt that I should not have um, grieved so hard
Mhm.
and, losing sleep and not. So I started shutting down because I was like, if, people are going to look at me and say, well, why are you so upset? If you're free. So I was always like, am I normal?
Yeah.
Because I'm having those types of
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I would pull back and stop sharing anything because I would get those looks.
Yeah. Ooh. Hey, y'all don't make me use all these tissues I done pulled out this box. Tissues and tears.
Yeah, that's it.
Um,
Mm.
wow. You may have saw me grab my phone. I was trying to look up a word. You know how you know the word, but it just escapes you?
Mhm.
It's like, what is that word she's talking about? It's called disenfranchised grief.
Mm.
Disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised grief.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's what you went through. That's what many people experience. The world, society has said, that's nothing you're supposed to grieve.
Mhm.
Mhm.
A mother who has a miscarriage. What are you
Mhm.
grieving that for?
Yeah. Mhm.
Disenfranchised grief. Somebody who was divorced and
That's
their ex passes, but you still grieve.
Yeah.
Disenfranchised grief.
Mm.
And you had the right to grieve. You had the right to grieve because a lot of times we have unresolved issues.
Mhm.
mhm.
Yes. That's
Unresolved issues can complicate grief.
Mhm.
Mm.
wow.
We have all those questions shoulda,
Mm.
woulda, coulda, why? All those questions,
Mhm.
they're unresolved. Unresolved. I
Wow.
encourage anyone to go to therapy. I don't
Mm.
It doesn't matter if the death was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. If it's still sitting in us, if it's still unresolved,
Yes.
go to counseling. Go to
Yeah.
counseling. You can
Yeah.
do group, you can do individual.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just aren't there, then you find that one person you can talk to. You find that one person who never judges you. You find that one person. It can be 2 in the morning. They can be knocked out snoring. What do you need? I'm here. Everybody needs a go to person. You need a
Mm-hmm.
power word and a go
Mm-hmm.
to person.
Power word
Wow.
and a go to
Power to go to
power.
person.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can,
Wow.
can I ask? Can I ask a question? Go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am.
So, and I had to write down this word. That's good. The disenfranchised grief. But is there a term for the grief like without death? Like, you said that the divorce, but then the person dies. But like if you have a divorce or a loss of a relationship, eh, whatever type of relationship or anything, or a job or something like that, but you still have to see the person and it's a loss, and it's completely separate, but you still have to see it. So it's like you um have to deal with that all over again, and it's that you have the process or whatever of the grief and all that, and it keeps coming back. Is there anything, a term for that, or how do you deal or cope with that?
I don't know if there's a specific term for that,
Mm,
um, but it's just, you described it as a cycle. It's just a
Mhm.
cycle. So, what you would have to do, or someone listening, you have to reprogram yourself.
Yeah.
You have to do the work, and the work is hard. The work is not easy. The work doesn't happen overnight. You have to, excuse me, reframe that thinking, that automatic thought,
Yeah.
that anticipatory thought,
Mhm.
like, oh my goodness, they're going to be there. You have already told yourself how you
Mhm.
were going to act, think,
Yeah.
respond. You have programmed
uh,
yourself. So now you have to create a new recipe. Throw that recipe away
Yeah.
Mhm.
and write out a new recipe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, you get those words of affirmation. You start encouraging yourself with your I statements.
Hmm.
You know, I statements are very powerful. I will not be led by my emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will not live in the past.
Yeah.
I will, what are your I statements? I
Mm.
think I done gave a lot of homework today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did that's
Yes.
right. That is all
Yeah.
good.
What
Mm,
what are
mm,
your I
Yeah.
statements?
Yeah.
You
mm,
know? But
Yeah.
yes,
mm.
you're gonna have to create a new pathway
Yeah.
in your thought pattern.
Yeah.
That's it.
It
Thought
is
pattern.
that.
Thought
Yeah.
You're
pattern.
gonna have
Thought
to
Yeah.
pattern.
change your thought pattern.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times that's how anxiety works. We anticipate
Yeah. Yeah.
and we don't even know.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You
It's
know
like
what?
if we're gonna worry about it, why are we gonna ask God? Why are we gonna go to God in prayer?
Yeah.
We
Hmm.
know how to fix it.
Hmm.
Oh
Why are
God.
we gonna go to God?
That
Right.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And also, what I hear is that you need to start the healing process
Yes.
with
Yeah.
what you're going through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I believe that God wants us in a place where He wants us healed,
Yeah.
and if I shared with y'all before, Reverend Holmes, I had shared with them how I was dealing with a situation, and this was many years ago, and it was about dealing with I knew the guy that I knew God didn't want me involved with, and my friend said to me, Tracy, today the last day I want to hear about this man, and I was mad at her, and I didn't speak to her for months, and so when you say to have that go-to person, she was that go-to person, and I continued to still deal and not heal.
Yeah.
And it took one of my male friends to tell me. He said, "You got to get off crack." And I was like, "I ain't no drugs." He said, "That man is your drug. You got to wing
Wow.
yourself off that crack."
Yeah.
And so that's just what I did, and that goes along with grief too.
Great.
With
Yeah.
with what the Holy Spirit showed me is that we can grieve people who's still alive, and like for me and my son, we not on good terms right now, and sometimes my heart do grieve
Yeah.
to have that better relationship with him. And so the one person that I do go to is his aunt Crystal, and actually she's watching. I don't know if she's still watching, but his aunt Crystal
Yeah.
Winslow,
She on it.
I tell you,
Oh.
she give me the right words. She, lets me know, Tracy, it's gonna be okay. You was a good mother. And sometimes I used to, I don't do it anymore. I used to beat myself up about it. Times when he used to say, Mom, I'm gonna block you, and I'd be like, oh Lord, let me do whatever I need to do so he won't block me. But it got to the point when he would say, Mom, I'm gonna block you, and I'd be like, okay, I'm okay with you blocking me. And so I had to really let go and let God, work on him. And I even realized that he had some things to work on me with,
Yeah.
and the one thing my son used to always say, Mom, just because you're the mother don't make you right all the time. And I
Right.
had to evaluate that. And so, for people like myself and others who may be dealing with grief, with people with relationships, how should we, handle this?
Well, that's almost an impossible question because every relationship is different,
Yeah.
every
Mhm.
situation is different. And the one thing, um, I'm not saying anyone has revealed that their relationship was toxic, but even
Mhm.
with toxic relationships, we will grieve them differently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
um, all I can say is self care,
Yeah.
self care,
Yep.
self care.
Okay.
And
Okay.
what does self care look like? It doesn't look dark. It doesn't look isolated. Self care is healthy.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you doing physically that's healthy? What are you doing spiritually that's healthy? You know, what are you doing emotionally that's healthy?
Yes.
Where are
Right.
the different areas? And if you say, well, I'm not motivated, okay, that's a clue. That's a red flag.
Mhm.
Wow.
You've lost motivation.
Wow. Wow.
So
Y-
start, just start doing the smallest thing, just the
Wow.
smallest thing.
Wow. You know what? We're actually working on self care. We just started our second session yesterday,
Yeah.
and it's working. And especially when you have a go to person,
Yeah.
and so we are our go to people.
Accountability,
Yeah.
Yes.
accountability.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes. This this was great. This was great. We have to have you back on for a part
Yeah.
two.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh
I
Part
would
two.
love
Yes.
Y'all,
to.
let's clap it up for Reverend Holmes. This
yeah.
Thank you.
like I feel refreshed.
I
How do
do.
y'all ladies feel?
I
How
do.
y'all
No,
feel?
Oh,
seriously.
thank you.
This
Thank you.
is,
Thank you. This was
yeah.
so necessary. I
Yeah.
Bless you.
understand a little bit more now about grief.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, this was some powerful.
it was awesome. It was powerful.
Yeah.
Learned
I
a lot.
received it.
Yes.
The
Yes.
last
Definitely.
thing that, if you give me 10 seconds,
Okay.
Okay.
never run from your grief,
Yeah.
never
Mm.
hide from your
Wow.
grief.
Yeah.
Wow.
Healing will never come.
Wow.
Wow.
Bring it with all your pain, all
Mm.
your sorrow, all your brokenness. Face it.
Mm.
Go
Wow.
outside, scream in the shower,
Yeah.
talk to death, tell death how you feel about him,
Wow.
Wow.
and then turn
Wow.
around
Wow.
and talk to love.
Mm.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Crystal Winslow said, yes, this was really great. I enjoyed the teaching.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
Crystal
glad you
Winslow said, yes.
Yes, this was really great. And we
It's,
we we definitely thank you, and we would love for you to come back. We have to set something up.
yeah.
We thank God for you just,
yes.
pouring into us.
Yeah.
And it definitely, was some things that I didn't realize that I needed to deal with. And so I'm
Mm.
going to do some self-care. And
Yeah.
so um on behalf of Sisters Helping Sisters, we want to
Mhm.
present you with a Sisters Helping Sisters cup.
Sweet.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and we just we do. We
That's
thank
so
you. We
sweet.
thank you. We thank you. And
Yeah, we're very passionate about helping people
Mm-hmm.
not to become stuck, because
Uh-huh.
yes.
I don't want to have to help you get unstuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Let's
Mhm.
work
Wow.
with it before we get stuck.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
Wow.
I'll be doing workshops over the holidays, so
Okay.
Oh,
I'll let
that's
Keisha
important.
know.
Sure.
The
Okay.
Wow.
workshops are
Holiday.
phenomenal. Phenomenal. You
Okay.
are sure to
Holidays.
be blessed.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you so
Wow.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, and we thank everyone for tuning in, and we're glad
Mm.
that there was something said to make you feel like, hey, I can do this. And
Yes.
so we would definitely have Reverend Holmes back if she
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah,
Yes.
we need a
Yes,
part
thank
two.
you so
Part
much.
We
two.
Thank you so
are
much.
too.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And we thank everyone for tuning in, listening to Reverend Holmes, to educate us about grief.
Yeah.
And so just remember, we are sisters
This is
helping
episode
one
one
faith
day
Faith
Faith
at
at a
at a
at
time.
a
time.
time. All right,
Amen.
y'all enjoy your Saturday. We
a
love you. See you
Right.
soon.
Love you.
time.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
everyone.
Thank